Welcome to another episode of Thank God It's Sunday. My name is Ernest and thank you for tuning in. Today I would like to talk to you about understanding the principle of sowing and reaping. There is an ancient saying that whatever you sow is what you reap. And one fascinating thing about life is that it gives you the opportunity to determine what you want. You see, finding is only reserved for people who seek. And most of the time, you find people sitting on the sidelines just waiting for things to happen to them. What happens if you don't sow is that come harvest time, you won't have anything to reap. Now, the question becomes, how can I increase in the things that I do? How can I double my income? Or how can I triple my income? Now, let's look at it in the principle of sowing and reaping. For instance, if you sow oranges, come harvest time, you're going to reap oranges. Now, for most people, the principle they use is that if they want to double the amount of oranges they harvest, what they do is that they sow twice as much in order to harvest twice whatever they put in. Now, here is the thing. You can decide to look for another job that is similar to the one you have, using the same skills. And what is going to happen is that you'll be able to have an additional income just because you have doubled the same skills that you have. But the interesting thing about that is that if wherever you are working right now, if you are getting paid, for instance, $10, that means if you find another job which is similar to the one you already have, you are going to be getting paid another $10. So meaning you are making $20. But then don't forget that you are going to be using your labor twice as much. So even though that is not a bad way of doubling your income, at least it gives you an extra money in your pocket. But what can you do in order to sow one type of seed, or to work for 8 hours and at the same time double your income? Now, what you need to understand is that you need to look at the type of seed that you are sowing. For instance, you cannot sow oranges and expect to reap apples. So if you are sowing oranges and you realize that the harvest that you are having in oranges is not giving you much income, the thing you need to do is to look for another seed that will be able to substitute for the oranges, that will give you twice as much as if you were sowing oranges. So now, for instance, you can graduate from sowing oranges into sowing probably, let's say, yams, for instance. And in this concept, I'm using farm items as a metaphor for the jobs that we have. So now, for instance, let's say you work in a warehouse making $10 an hour. And now you want to make a physician's income, which is $150,000 or $200,000 a year. How do you go about it? First of all, you need to become the type of seed that you want to reap. So for instance, you need to develop the skills of a physician. So it means that you need to add value to yourself. You see, trying to reap something that you have not sown, we call it frustration. For instance, every day the sun rises from the east and sets at west. That is a principle. If somebody comes to me and tell me why should the sun rise from the east, I wouldn't sign up for that class, because I know that the sun rises from the east and sets at the west. That is a principle. There is no going around it. You cannot change it. So in order to change your life, you need to know what kind of seeds that you are sowing. You need to identify the kind of seeds that you are sowing. You know, if you sow much, you will reap much. If you sow very little, you will reap very little. That is the principle. Trying to go around it, we call it frustration. So to my friends out there, I would like to elaborate a little bit on this topic. But I hope next week we will have the opportunity, God willing, to be able to elaborate a little bit on it, because I believe that the principle of sowing and reaping is very significant to the way we live our life in today. So until next time on Thank God It's Sunday, remember, whatever you sow is what you reap. Or in other words, whatever you reap is what you sow. My name is Ernest, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like my page on Facebook. Thank you.